Yo, it's been a while since my last video. I'm trying out a camera this time. My my dad may have recommended it in a rather authoritative tone, so I'm giving it a shot. But yeah, it's been a while, so I've been up to all kinds of stuff. I'll be splitting this all up into three videos. This will be the first one, and we will be covering all the changes I've made to the procedural generation. And so since last time, in my Marching Cubes video, that was in a separate project. Since then, I've moved all of the procedural generation code into my actual solar system. So I'll get to that in the next video, but it is in the same project. Yeah, so let's just jump into it. First thing you'll notice right away, we got colors, baby. No more white blob of meshy weirdness, I guess. So to paint the planet, I wrote a nice little shader that goes vertex by vertex, and at each vertex we check the normal of that vertex, right? The direction it's facing, and if that normal is pointing towards the center of the planet, then we're down, and if it's pointing away from the center of the planet, then it's up. There's no up and down, right? Like fixed up and down on a planet. It's all relative to where you're standing. And so we just draw a line between the vertex and the center of the planet. And then we say, okay, normal's facing out this way, then it's out, it's ground, paint it green. Normal's facing this way, then it is facing in, it's brown, it's a wall, right? Or a ceiling or whatever. It's a threshold brown from like here to here, and then ground is over there. You get it. So yeah, that's how that works. And then I have also split everything up into chunks, which is working well. I can just select one real quick. So here's a lovely little chunk. Oh, and it's also going a little bit outside of the bounds of the mesh. So here, let me just turn down the amplitude of the noise a bit. Right, there we go. So, here's our little chunk. It's completely independent from the other ones. I can move it around to prove it. And you can even see our shader updates too. But yeah, each chunk is calculated separately, but right now they're calculated sequentially. So this is a really good opportunity for some parallel programming. Throw all the chunks on their own thread and let them do their thing. But I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I hope to do it soon. But as far as the actual vertices inside of the chunks, those are all calculated in parallel on the GPU using a compute shader. So at least we're good there. Got some optimization. Okay, so painting the planet, we got chunks, and the other thing I wanted was colliders. So let me just restart the game real quick. Let's turn on that player. And this is the same player that's used in Planet Hopper. Here, let me pull up the game view. Very cool. Okay, I can jump in my ship, fly around a little bit. And there we go. We got some lovely colliders. And I'll talk a lot more about the updates I've made to the player and the ship since last time, because there was a lot that needed to be changed to make this work. So those were the three things I talked about doing in my previous video, but I've also added in another feature, which is planet modifiers. So here, actually, let me restart real quick. If I go into my mesh generator settings, I've got March settings, and I talked about that in my previous video. That's like stuff like here. I guess I can just open up the chunk bounds, how many points are allowed inside each chunk, the ISO level, blah blah blah, right? And the grid generator is the logic that spits out all of the data that Marching Cubes uses to actually instantiate the mesh. And so the grid generator right now is just some basic noise, right? But I can actually switch it over to a sphere. So let's do that. Actually, yeah, that's fine. Let's use that one. And so now if I play, ooh, I got a perfect sphere. Huzzah! Amazing generation. I know. Thank you. Thank you. But the important part is that I've essentially separated the noise off of the grid generation, but now we can add these grid modifiers on top. So we start with a sphere with a predefined radius, And then we can add, let's see, what should we add? Let's add a dig. Okay, yeah, and all those errors was just because the element was currently null. I can clear this out. But yeah, so I have a layer of noise now on top of the base, and you'll notice this noise works a little bit differently because this noise only digs out. It won't add in height to the planet, right? So I'm like carving out of it, if that makes sense. I can talk more about it in a future video. But I have other modifiers too, so I can have two digs on top of each other, which probably isn't smart. I can add in these pole caves, so I've got a nice little hole through the center of my planet. I've been really trying to find ways to carve out like caves and tunnels because marching cubes can support all of that. Like that's why I made or why I implemented marching cubes, right? Is because I wanted to have interesting height changes. So yeah, I have the modifier pole caves, and let's say this is looking a little smooth inside. I could add in, well, I could add in another cave, but I could also add in a layer of light noise on top. So you can see that just changed it a bit. Here, you can see a little bit of noise on top. And this noise isn't only dig out, so it'll like level out some of the other pieces. And I can change the order, so I can do like the noise first. I can do the caves first, and then do the dig, whatever. Slightly different options depending on the order of things. But yeah, I'm hoping to uh, come up with some cool modifiers in here because each of these modifiers has its own shader associated with it, right? And so I've been writing a whole bunch of compute shaders for that. But yeah, I think that about wraps up this video. So I guess in recap, we got planets being painted, we've got chunks, we've got colliders, and this new grid modifier system. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next part. I think we'll probably talk about the player controllers next. Yeah, that sounds good. Well, see you then.